All right, everybody, welcome back to the Champions of Small Business podcast. I'm your host, Charlie Anderson, here on episode number 4. I'm pumped for today. I have Mr. Tyler Shaver in the house of My Bath Guy. So Tyler is a bath remodeler, and you may have seen his signs. If you live in the central Pennsylvania area, I know you've seen this guy's signs. They're literally everywhere I look, and it's awesome, man. Every time I'm driving around, I think about you because I see one of your signs everywhere, and they're in like the weirdest spots, and like I just get a giggle every time I drive out. So super pumped to have you here, man. Thank you so much for coming here and talking with me, and looking forward to getting to know a little bit more about you and sharing your story with everybody.
Hey, greatly appreciate you having me.
So, tell me the story. Give me the quick rundown, man, of how Tyler Shaver came to be, how My Bath Guy became to be, like how you jumped into this pool of entrepreneurship.
For me, it started to where, like, when I got out of the military and I just wasn't, I didn't want to be a diesel technician. Like, that's what I did. And I got in, yeah. And I did that for like 6 months. It was like, hell no, this is not for me. And then I got into sales at that point. And then over the next, 6-7 years, I got into marketing and a lot of marketing and sales. And I was, able to work for a company that I watched grow significantly. Very good mentors when it comes to marketing and sales and just processes in general.
Right.
And that's where I got into the bath design consultant, which pretty much is where I learned everything, is just understanding the processes. And then, I had worked for you for a little bit after I left there, because I didn't like the corporate energy that I was getting from it anymore.
Sure.
And then after working for you, like, I ruptured the Achilles, and that was a big blow.
Yeah.
And
I remember.
Obviously not walking roofs at that point.
Yep.
So when I was down, I just started planning the bath business. And I remember it was like 2:00 in the morning. I was up thinking about, what I wanted to call the company. And then My Pillow Guy pops on the screen. And I'm like, My Bath Guy. Like,
so that's where the inspiration came from, huh?
Yeah, that's where like the inspiration of the actual name My Bath Guy came from, was My Pillow Guy. And at that point, I also was, really getting deep into like the quantum physics of reality and energy, Dr. Joe's work, Dr. Joe Dispenza. And I was really getting deep into that meditation of practice and really actually learning how to form your reality instead of allowing reality to form around you. And ever since then, I've just been hitting the same formula. It's been pretty, the hardest part was the first 6 months of just taking the leap and putting everything I had into My Bath Guy and not wanting to get a different job. So I just, every dollar I had, just
dumped it in there.
Dumped right into it. I was on my parents' couch when I first started,
Yeah.
And working out in my dad's garage.
Nice.
And I just didn't want to work for anybody ever again at that point. So it was just like anything I had to do was a massive sacrifice of just all the dollars I had saved, just nothing going to anything other than My Bath Guy and growing that.
So you just deeply immersed yourself in that, and it was like a come hell or high water, you ain't going to sink kind of thing. Like if you focused all of your energies towards My Bath Guy in that first 6 months, really. Like,
yeah. And there was a time where, because you were in the beginning, right, you're not getting as many appointments, right? You're not installing. There's only so much marketing you can do.
Yeah.
I also was learning how to walk again.
Yeah.
I still was learning how to walk. So what I did was I was very blessed to have all this time that I then, when I didn't have an appointment, I didn't have marketing stuff to do, I just I surrendered to where I was at, and then I just started walking in the woods. I started hiking the mountain. I started doing, cold exposure, 3-4 o'clock in the morning in pitch black, just because, like, I was trying to really, like, work on the body when I had this free time.
Sure.
Because every business person I was like researching on, it's all mind and body first, and the business is just an extension of your mind and body.
Sure.
So if your business is in chaos, it's because interiorly you're in chaos as well.
Right.
So it was really just taking that time and fully surrendering and giving faith to just the outcome.
Yeah.
And we got to, in the very beginning, it was also still in like COVID times where there was like an 18-week wait period to where when we sold a product, it was 18 weeks till we could install it.
Right.
So it came down to literally the week of the first installation, and it was like we either install it or we're out of money.
No shit.
Like it came that close in the very beginning.
Yeah.
And it was just like never had anything other than just faith. Hey, we're just gonna make it through this. We're gonna make it through this, and then it always just has been building since. It's been incredible.
Man, so and I've talked to you a lot about, because like you said, you used to work with DreamWorks, and we've kept in touch over the years, and watching you kind of rally back, especially from that like Achilles injury. Like, I know that's devastating. I broke my ankle, and that was a devastating thing for me. It really put me into a weird headspace, where if I felt like my body wasn't right, my mind wasn't right, therefore my business wasn't right, and everything just wasn't kind of clicking. I was kind of following this like downward trajectory because I let one negative build upon another negative build upon another, and it's like a negative compounding effect almost is what was happening. So something that you said there, I think, was really interesting about the connection of your mind and body to your output. You can only if you're in a place of chaos, what you're going to create is a lot of chaos. And I think that's a really interesting thing and a really important thing to put that message out there, because there's a lot of toxicity in entrepreneurship. There's a lot of toxicity in business ownership where it's, hustle and grind and work harder, work more hours. And while all those things are true, you do need to work hard. You do need to put in the time and go through those motions. At a certain point, if you don't take care of yourself, you're not actually taking care of your business or your customers. So I think that's such an important thing not to lose sight of. And I think you from my perspective, you seem like a guy that really has a good handle on that kind of thing. So can you kind of like tell me how do you keep in that good mindset? How do you remind yourself, or how would you remind others to take care of yourself first and to come from that place of calm and not that constant chaos?
I mean, you just said it right there. Take care of yourself first.
Take care of yourself first.
Schedule me time first.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the bath business, but I also do the business coaching and adventure stuff on the side with entrepreneurs and like the men's group that I run as well. It's always, everybody says, I have no time. I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to work out more. I don't have time to focus on my nutrition. I don't have time to do this. And it's, you don't have time because you don't schedule it.
Right.
I schedule my me stuff first. That's the number one. And it's always first thing in the morning. It's, I wake up and I'm ready to create because I understand, like, I'm an individual creator. You're an individual creator. We're all individual creators of this consciousness, this reality we live in. Mm-hmm. So it's just understanding that, like, if you knock out in the first 2 hours of your day, everything for you, there's no excuse now. Like, now you're in a good mental head. You fed your body, you fed your mind, your energy, and then from there, everything else just kind of falls into place, and it becomes more clear and easy. Yeah. And I work on myself more than my business.
Man, that's a powerful. I'm gonna see if I can like snippet that and take that and put it like at the front of the podcast, because it's such an important point, man. And I don't want that to be the only thing we talk about today, but it's so profound.
That's business,
man.
I think that's profound. True business is understanding that it's more of me than it is of anything.
Yeah. I mean, and it's like to they say if you're in a plane and the plane's going down, you're right. You have to fix your own oxygen mask before you can assist others. And take that same logic and apply it here. If you're not in a good, healthy space, your business isn't going to be in a good, healthy space, and you're not going to be able to. I mean, eventually the tank's going to run out on you, if you're not filling your own bucket first and making sure you're taken care of. So that's one thing that you do, man, that I think is really something that I know I draw from a lot. I personally think about all the conversations that you and I have had. They stick in the back of my mind a lot. And, I start each day with breathing exercises, right?
For the Wim Hof,
45 minutes. Yeah. And it's something that, if I get up and, I have a big glass of water, I meditate, I do breathing exercises, and then I exercise Try to, and even if it's for 5 minutes for the exercise, but that meditation is such like, it's like my coveted time now. You know, it's so important to me. And I think that's one piece of advice if I could give any entrepreneur is to, if you win your morning, you win your day. Because if you start your day off sitting on your phone, eating sugar cereal or something, you're going to carry that energy throughout the day with you. It's going to turn into baggage that you carry with you, but you're never going to regret starting off on a positive, on the positive foot. So yeah, thanks, man. You always, you actually kind of kicked that off in me.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Man. I'm glad I could inspire you.
Yeah, man, you do.
It's a reciprocated thing because you and Steve inspired me to be able to take the leap and start a business, seeing how you guys were able to keep the family life involved in a big business. Because I saw like big corporate, and I learned from he was an amazing guy to learn from, super intelligent.
Yeah.
But to see him there on a Saturday, Sunday, every weekend, and it's like, all right, that's cool and all, but for me, it's like, outside of that, I have a child. I have a 7-year-old that I want to spend time with and like actually bond with. And at the same time, I also want to do adventurous things. As like a man, like you need to get out and be adventurous too, to feed that masculine energy inside of you. So it came very clear early on. Like I said, those first 7 months, I had so much free time that I was able to take that and, really cement on how I wanted it to look and work. And it really is just as easy as writing down what I wanted it to look like, and then just wait for it. Yeah. And believe it was coming.
Yeah.
And as far as like, I went through a period where, I was running the business off the numbers, and, one of my, great coaches, Jesse Elder, he had mentioned, being stuck in the numbers, and, when you break up numbers, you have num and then and it's like the more you're in the numbers, the number you become to the numbers, and your life literally is controlled by that fluctuation of the bank account, the revenues coming in, the revenue going out. And you just really have to step back and just understand, like, it's truly just faith and just accepting where you are and what's coming, and then also see the allusion to all the problems, quote unquote problems, we run into in business. There's nothing that I've found typically, like, your subconscious creates all the negativeness. From somewhere, some action you made created this problem that's sitting in front of you. Right. And it's just like, you can react to it and then draw it back in with your energy again, or you can just, okay, cool. Right. Let's move it to the side and move past this. Yeah. And then it disappears. See it.
You can acknowledge it, but not let it consume you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's another really important thing to think about, that at the end of the day in business, numbers matter, but numbers, there's something in you, like your gut, right? That is as reliable as numbers. That if you follow that, there's a damn good chance that things are just going to work out for you, because if you know where your destination is, you know the right steps to take there, and numbers can fill you with a sense of fear, because if something looks bad, and I know, like, it's something we struggle with at DreamWorks a lot too, right? We see a down week.
We all do.
Yeah, you see a down week, and then you're like, well, I'm doing something wrong. Yeah. It's not necessarily that you're doing something wrong, right? Success is a circuitous path. It doesn't go in a straight line trajectory upwards. It can go down and sideways and left to right. So constantly being stuck in your numbers, while numbers are, in business very important, they can flare up those anxieties that you were talking about, or flare up those feelings of doubt, like, well, I was in the red 2 weeks in a row, I mean, how many mega businesses that are out there have lost money for their first 7 years, but they knew that they were onto something special, and they trusted that process. So that's something that, man, that's a hard pill to swallow. And I feel like it takes a lot of life experience to really, to understand that.
It's a continuous practice.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, there's days where, like, I'll look at the numbers, and then I'll just catch the ego trying to grab onto it. And I'm like, no, like, this That's funny. Haha. Let's move past this. Let's go to, I got into the practice of when I did get into those moments and I had free time, I took that free time and just went and did whatever I wanted.
Nice.
I go to yoga, I go hiking, I go kayaking.
Nice.
It's just, I take back that time and just like, no, like I'm not going to sit here and stress over this.
Yeah.
I believe there's an abundance of work out there. There's an abundance of everything, right, in the universe. And it's like, you just got to tap into the right frequency of it. So there's an abundance of bath jobs. There's an abundance of roofing jobs. It's like, it's just what energy are you portraying out there? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't worry about my competition. Like they're not even competition.
Yeah.
It's like, we're in the same business.
Yep.
I want you to get jobs. I'm going to get jobs. Some companies make my life easier. Some companies like they'll be more expensive, so they'll make my life easier, or they'll be less expensive and they make my life harder.
Right.
And it's like, I don't really care about either one of them, because like I'm just here and I'm just trying to give people a quality product, and I'm trying to also enjoy my life at the same time.
Yeah.
Not even trying, I'm doing it.
You're doing it. Yeah. You're actively doing it. Yeah. That's something that I realized, that especially with competition's everywhere, and competition is dirty, and it can get.
I let them be dirty.
And
people take my yard signs all the time, man.
Yeah. Same here. We get people trash talking us because we like to make videos that show the personality behind our company. Yeah. And for us, it's once I stopped worrying about what people thought, people's opinions of us started to change. And I feel like that's kind of drawing a similar parallel here to once we stopped thinking about it so much, where, what does this competitor think of this? Or what's this competitor, how many reviews do they have? How many jobs do you think they have on the books this week? I don't care. All I can worry about is what I have here in front of me, and focus on delivering the best product that I can deliver and the best service that I can deliver. And it's kind of, once I realized that fact, is when things started to get better, So there really is something too, like once you take your energies away from other people, from projecting them towards other people and just projecting them onto yourself and onto what you're doing, it changed everything for us, at least for me, and my anxiety that goes with it. I'm a very anxious person as it is. It took me something.
That breath work helps you, I'm sure.
Dude, it's one of the only ways. Like, first thing in the morning, my mind's going a million miles a minute. Some of my guys will probably tell you, like, they've gotten texted from me at like 4 in the morning, 3:30 in the morning. It used to be 2:30, like 2:38 was like, that was my time. Religiously, every single night I'd wake up at 2:38 a.m. and I'm like, I have so much to do. Shit, oh no, I forgot. Like, breath work, man. Breath work. It was like a lifesaver for me.
I don't mind that time of the morning. I love that time of the morning. That's where I found the greatest transformation of myself, is getting up and doing meditations, just because of the brainwave you're already in. Mm-hmm. Obviously not waking up that out of your sleep. That's more of a stressful situation. You're already back into the beta brainwaves at that point.
Right.
So it's like that, but that time in the morning, there was a long time where I was waking up specifically just to go in there and program the mind.
Nice.
And it's really it comes down to like the sacrifice you want to make. What specifically do you want to happen, and are you willing to sacrifice other things like sleeping in, or eating unhealthy? And it's like, and you're not ever going to be perfect. You're going to fall off.
Of course.
And then it's just like catching yourself. All right. Or like, now it's time to get back to what we're supposed to be doing here.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's the key, is like, we're, everybody's afraid to like fall off the wagon. Right. And, you just get to a point where like, all right, I've done this. I've fallen off how many times?
Right.
And I just keep getting back on. And now it's like, you just don't care as much.
Yeah.
You don't care about the failure. This being scared of failing is why business fail.
Right.
So like, you can't be scared of failing for yourself, because it's like, you're going to end up failing.
Yeah.
Our biggest insecurities is what usually happens, because we put so much thought and energy to them that we then subconsciously literally bring in the events.
Yeah. No wonder you're manifesting the negative by thinking about the negative outcomes so often.
And have you ever read the book, The Secret?
No, I have not.
That's a really good book. It really gets into just how thoughts like draw in what you want. And the number one thing I hear talking to entrepreneurs is I'm busy. And it's like, I'm busy.
Yeah.
Busy. Well, what are you doing? You're drawing in being busy.
Yeah.
And being busy is, I like in terms of business coming in, isn't a bad thing. But if your life is consistently always busy and you don't have time for yourself, you're not doing anything. Like, we're given one thing on this earth, and that's this body. This body is the only thing we're actually given. So to not take care of this, to take care of something else, is, in my opinion, it's insanity to me. We don't take care of ourselves before we take care of others.
Right.
And it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, when I do the work with the men's group, it's like we're doing health and fitness stuff. We're talking about breathing. We're talking about meditating. We're going to yoga. We're doing these things that really work on the body, because everything else is created from within there.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, from a healthy mind, all things are possible, I feel. Yeah. But it starts with that healthy mind.
Yeah. And that's how they when you're unhealthy, right, you're in different survival states. Like, you're in the survival mode, and then you're easily controlled and manipulated. And it's like, all right, what life do you want to live? Do you want to live the life that somebody wants you to live, or the life that you actually want to live?
Right.
Because there's two different ones you're going to live.
Yeah.
And if you're not taking care of yourself and you're unhealthy, you're living in a survival state. You're not living the life you actually want to live. Like, I imagine most people don't want to be out of shape.
No, nobody would. Yeah. Nobody chooses to be out of shape.
Nobody really wants that.
Yeah.
I've been fat. I was 210 pounds at one point.
Yeah.
And I lost like 50, 60 pounds to get back down to like the 150, 160. And then I've gained weight too as well since then. So it's like, you got to find like where you're comfortable at and your balance. And it all comes from a secure mind, understanding the inner works of us, understanding, things from our childhood that might be holding us back, or our lack of, confidence. There's so many different things that go into it to really hone in on, why am I up here? Why am I down here?
Yeah. So I think you probably have a pretty unique perspective on this, just knowing what I know about you, and to get yourself out of that busy mindset where you're like, I'm busy. You came from a pretty large company it was a well-documented company, a well-systemized and processed company. Do you think that's something that's really important for people that are in business to do, so that they can allow themselves those freedoms? Because, at a certain point, if you're the one man, if you're running a restaurant and you're the one man show, you're going out front to take the orders, and you're running in the back to cook the food, and then you're running back to run the food, and then you're washing the dishes, then you're coming back out and serving more customers. That comes down to systems and processes that allow the freedom for you. So the freedom comes from the discipline of creating those processes. Do you think that works? I'd like to get your take on kind of how those things help open the door for you.
Learning what I learned how a big company operates, and the processes are extremely important. Having an expertise in it is extremely important. Knowing the whole process as the business owner, right?
Yeah.
Knowing the whole process, being able to actually do it and accomplish the whole process was extremely important to me. That's not what I learned from other places, because they were already massive. But I've knocked doors. I've done events. I've done online marketing. I've done the design consultant. I've done the installs. I've done tons of these installs. I'm now at the point to where it's like, all right, I have guys who do the installs. And, Tristan, he's one of my guys. He's been doing this for like 16, 17 years.
Nice.
I'm now at the point where I don't have to worry about an install.
Yeah.
Like, when they go out, I just step back and hands off.
Yeah.
I'm working way less than what I was when I was working for a bigger company.
That's so cool.
And I took what takes them 10 to 12 people, the process of marketing to the service basically side of things, like sell everything, 10 to 12 people, it operates with 3 people.
Nice.
And, we're able to give a higher quality product because we cut out that large overhead.
Sure.
But the processes are extremely important. I would say for me, the most important one is the sales process.
Yeah.
Communication.
Yeah.
How to really find what they're looking for and bring them to why your product is that fix.
Yeah.
I worked with just sales studs when I was right at that bigger company. Those guys were beasts when it came to going in the house. I'm very like relaxed. I'm not really the salesy guy.
Sure.
Very big on here's my price. Like my price is this. There's no like, well, this is good for 30 days.
No tacky sales.
Yeah,
sales
let's
tactics,
talk for another
tactics.
5 minutes, pretend like I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I got this program that I didn't have 5 minutes ago, but it would work for you now.
That stuff is so dead, man.
It is, but
I wish it would die soon, rather.
It is, but you have these companies that are doing over $1 billion a year.
Yeah.
So it's based on the psychological effect of how can you control what people do.
Sure.
And it's bring out the emotions of the problem they're having, and then it's come up with the solution, make them feel like this is the only solution, and then solve the payment problem.
Yeah.
And then make them feel like they're getting a big discount.
Yep.
For some reason, humanity loves to feel like they're getting a big discount.
Yeah.
But they're not. They're just getting psychologically manipulated.
They're just getting tricked into thinking it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm just like, hey, I put my pan on the table. They usually pick it up. It's like a composite stone pan. So that compared to a plastic pan, they're like, oh my gosh. And I'm like over here just messing around in my box. And they're like, this is amazing. And like 4 companies came in and they're like $2,000-$3,000 higher.
Yeah.
For a less inferior product.
Yeah.
So I just literally, here's my price and slide it over.
Yeah.
I don't like any type of hard closes. It's when you're ready, I'm ready.
Yep. That's the way that we like to treat it here as well. We want to be problem solvers first. You know, if
when I first started working here, I was like, yo, these guys are freaking crazy. What do you mean there's no price drop to close a deal?
Yeah.
This is insane.
Yeah, because like, dude, we want to sell the way that we would want to be sold.
Yeah.
And what I want someone to come in who knows their shit, who can educate me on what are the best options for me. Why should I go this way or the other? Like, we tell our guys, be a steward to your customer, right? Show them the best options. And because, we're one of the more expensive companies out there and we get underbid all the damn time, but people still, we still close a lot of work simply because we're not pushy. We're there for the best interest of the customer. And man, that's the way that we love to sell. Because if you're helping people, I don't know, there's a greater sense of satisfaction there. Will it turn us into $1 billion business? Probably not. Are we going to step on people's emotions to get there? Hell no. We're going to build this business the right way, the honest way, the way that is makes us feel good, And, I think, and I hope people realize that, that we're not here to trick you into a price. We're literally going to show you here's the best price we can do. Mm-hmm. And you're going to get the absolute damn best work that we can do, So, yeah, I find your experience with them so interesting because the benefits of working with a giant company, but you also see the drawbacks.
I watched it. When I entered that place, man, I was like, what is going on here? Everybody loves their job. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm never leaving here. I went from knocking doors for them to running events to doing the design consultant. Mm-hmm. Made the most money I ever made in my life. And I was just blown away and then I just saw it like shift.
Yeah.
Once it started multiplying, 4, 5, 15, 20 different locations. Mm-hmm. You just feel the energy shift, the reason on why we're doing this. You watch the investors come in. So like that kind of stuff was just a very like energy turn off for me.
Sure.
And it was just, I took like 4 months off before I even came to work for you. I just took all the money I made and was just like, all right, we're going to relax. And that's when I got in the Wim Hof actually.
Yeah.
It's right around that time.
Okay.
And yeah, I just kept on searching for, where I needed to land. And then when I worked for you, Moses and Steve, Moses was that dude was a killer. When I went into the house with him, I was like, yo, this guy is walking around in his freaking Chuck Taylors.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this dude's a sales guru.
Yeah.
With his tattoos out. And I'm like,
he's the real deal.
Yeah. And then I'm watching you guys run the business. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is a completely different side that I haven't seen before. Yeah. Which then, once everything happened, I was like, all right, let's pull the trigger on this. And, it was like, what else was I going to do other than that? I didn't want to work for anybody again. Yeah. Like I was at that point where I was like, all right, we're going to start a business. What business? And
yeah, that damn Achilles, man. It was
a blessing.
I was going to say
stronger than ever.
It seemed like a blessing and it was a curse at first, seeing you in pain and crutching around here, but it seems like you really took that adversity and spun the shit out of it and came back, 10 times stronger.
Yeah, it made me sit still for a while, for a few months, to where I literally was just in bed. And I just happened to be deep into the Dr. Joe stuff, which is a lot of like self-healing stuff. Mm-hmm. And, I was told like 9 to 12 months before I was running. And, I ended up running it, about 4 months is when I started running. That's awesome. I was like hiking the mountain. And so I just took the time that I had and just implemented all the knowledge that I've been taken in over the last couple years in the mindfulness field and the holistic style approach of living. And, it really was a blessing to get all that free time, because I had the 4 months before I started working for you, when I worked for you for about 4 or 5. And then after that, I had about 9 months until I actually installed the first job. Mm-hmm. So I had a ton of time that I was able to really just take to myself and like really get organized and build the company from where I'd want it to look back into where we would start. And the craziest part about that is when I was up in the morning just doing meditations and like really visualizing things. I had visualized what an ending property would look like. And it was, one of my buddies from high school. I remember going over to his house. Do you remember Matt McCorkle?
Yes.
So his dad was in construction for 47 years. Yeah. And I remember going to his house when I was younger, and I was like, yo, that would be like when I was visualizing that house. Yeah, yeah. Well, 9 months later, that property he's leasing.
Oh, nice.
Right. And met with him, ended up, leasing out his garages and an office. And while I was there, I'm like sitting there thinking like, oh man, this would be great to like turn this into like just where I live. Cause I was still I was on my parents' couch at that point. And so 3-4 months went by. Was able to talk to Joe, and then he allowed me to live there. Nice. Before that, when I didn't have my daughter at my parents, because she was with my ex-wife half the time, I'd be sleeping under the desk. I'd be in there just sleeping. Wow. That's where I would sleep. I'd shower at hot yoga. And there was no shower because there's no shower upstairs. Mm-hmm. Now that's like where I live. So I literally created a whole bathroom upstairs. Nice. But I went about a year and a half with no bathroom, like no shower. There was a bathroom there, but there was no shower. And I showered at my parents', or I showered at hot yoga, or I showered in the cold spring. Yeah, nice. But it was crazy that, those 9 months before that, that's when I like thought of that property. And then 9 months later, he's retiring his company, and he's now leasing out the same space he was using. And, he's been a phenomenal person to work with and create a relationship with. That's awesome. Very smart guy when it comes to business, family as well, very family oriented. So that was a very interesting turn of events to watch that really like that one thought turn into a reality. Right, watch it unfold into
that reality over the course of, and when that was over, 9 months or so? That
9 months difference when I had that thought of, oh, that's the type of property I'd like. And then it was like 9 months later, after a couple months of installing, working on my dad's garage, then he was like, hey, he like put it up online, and I like went out and ended up leasing it. Been there ever since.
Been there ever since.
Yeah, no reason to leave.
Man, that's so good. It's so cool, and it just goes to show that, you know, if you have a good why or a good vision, like what's that quote? A man with a good why can endure any how. Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of speaks here. Like if you have that crystal clear vision, or you have that crystal clear why on why you want to do this, or what it is you want to build, or what you want to accomplish, that starting with that end in mind makes that process so much easier, and actually sets you in the right direction to attain those things. You know, so I think that's a really good thing to share with people, that crystal clear vision of yours helped you. I think sounds like it helped you manifest these great things, than this dream place that you have, right? You're right by the cold springs. You get to go cold dip anytime you want. Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I got the mountain, I got the creek. I where it's actually at is out on a farm.
Nice.
So it's like 50 acres.
Awesome.
I'm not a traffic city person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, get me out in the country somewhere. Yeah, get me in nature.
Yeah.
Because there's just something that's like healing about nature that just brings the natural state out of you. So like when you're in that anxiety moment or that crazed moment or whatever stress is going on, like just going into nature will bring you back to your natural state. So like just to be able to like live in that is very empowering.
Yeah.
And the number one thing is really just understanding like you are the sculpture of your life,
mm-hmm.
right? We're all sculpting our own journey here. And it's like, well, how far can you look out and believe?
Right.
And I've invested a ton into coaches, like thousands upon thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
I always have a coach because there's accountability that comes with that.
Yeah.
And their knowledge is very empowering. And it's all about the transfer of energy around as well. And what I learned, in the Strong Coach Freedom Program is, you know, how to think out a decade,
nice.
Right? People think
it's tough.
Just like a day or two is like hard for people.
Yeah.
A week.
Yeah.
You know, I plan out 10 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's backtracking. All right, well, what in 5 years do I need to accomplish? What in 2 years? What in 1 year? What in 6 months? What in 90 days? What in the next 2 weeks?
That's the way we do it too.
Yeah, and like that's how you have to do it. It's like you literally have to plan in decades and execute in seconds.
Yeah.
Like very powerful thing there.
Yes.
Plan in decades, execute in seconds.
Yeah.
And then it's also understanding you have to do the personal side and the business side.
Yep.
The personal side is just as important as the business side.
Yeah. And
it's just picking and choosing what's the most important to accomplish to get to here, to get to here, to get to here.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to have a mountaintop compound, like where I have like people that come and do like 90-day retreats.
Nice.
Where it's just like, because I see the younger generation, they don't want to go to college as much. They're not really being taught what they need to in school.
Mm-hmm.
Like the mind body stuff, financial stuff. So they're becoming more and more lost on who they are.
Sure.
So basically create some type of an education system or like an academy where you're coming out to the woods, you're staying in like a hut.
Nice.
You're detaching from technology. You're detaching from like your normal society. And then we're just going to do nature stuff. We're going to do breath work. We're going to do cold dips. We're going to do all this mind body stuff.
Nice.
At the same time, we're going to be trying to figure out like, what do you actually want? That's the end goal for me.
Nice. And that's geared towards like young adults.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I support that a lot, man.
It's going to be very, very important going forward that we have newer education systems.
Mm-hmm.
As like I imagine you're the same with me. Like we didn't do the greatest in high school.
No.
Exactly. High school teaches you that failing is bad, and you can be a straight A student, and somebody that failed is going to get farther than you in life.
Yeah.
Because they failed and they learned how to get over it. Failure is the most important thing you need to go through.
Sure.
And it's overcoming those failure is what really shows you who you are as a person.
Yeah. Yeah. If you never fail, you're not moving your target far enough away.
Yeah.
I had a guy I went to high school with the other day actually tell me, I ran into him. We were like chit chatting a little bit, and he's like, man, I follow all the stuff that you're doing. And he's like, I'm really surprised. I'm like, what do you mean you're surprised? He's like, well, if you would have listed all the people in high school that I thought would have done something good with their life, you were damn near the bottom of that list.
Mm-hmm.
And, or people that were success. He called me successful, and I don't claim the word successful. I think I'm successful in a lot of ways, but I have a lot to work on to be what I would call successful. Get a better handle on my health and my body and my mind and my family life and my business life. But yeah, that's what he said to me. He's like, I would have put you damn near at the bottom of the list. And that's, school doesn't define you, man. School is such a temporary part of your life that it doesn't translate to what we're doing today, right? As business owners, as people that are trying to move and shake and do their own things and make this world a better place. I don't know where what I went through in school fits into any of that. Everything has come from my adult life failing. I've failed more times than I have succeeded by a long shot. Mm-hmm. Fail every single day, and it's just a matter of like I just said, if you're not failing, your target's not far enough away. You're not making any progress. So brace the failures. Anyone who's
absolutely
listening.
Yeah, you got to push yourself to the point of failure. That's for sure. And it's having the grace of giving yourself the room to fail, mm-hmm. and not getting down on yourself. I didn't get these things done on my list that need to get done. That failure alone can hurt somebody's ego as a business owner.
Sure.
And then it starts to snowball into they just don't get more things done.
Yeah.
So it's just all right, well, who cares about these 3 things on the list? I'll get them done. They weren't meant to be done.
Yeah.
Right. That's the whole, everything happens because it's supposed to happen. It also is everything doesn't happen because it's not supposed to happen as well.
Right.
So it's living in between those and just, flowing along with it and having fun. You have to be playful and fun, and not take it as serious. And that a lot of the things with entrepreneurs, it comes down to just the financial stresses.
Yeah.
And just getting really comfortable with your bank account, even when it's low.
Yeah.
When you got to be able to sit there and just look at it and just be like, yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. I got food. My kids are fed. The people that work for me are fed. Their families fed.
Yeah.
The money's gonna flow back in at any moment.
Yeah, and that's coming from you. You said you were to the point where you were like, I need to install this job.
I had $100 left.
Or it's all over.
I had bought the trailer and all the tools.
Yeah.
And it was literally the week of the install, and it was
took that, and
if that install crashed and failed,
we
would never even got off the ground. So it was just took everything I had, and it was pure faith, and I got very close to God during those time periods.
Nice.
Any chance of anything stressful in life, I've learned to really just get close to God and, just have the faith that I'm not meant to fail.
Sure.
The only reason I fail is because I lose faith.
Yeah. Yeah. And faith is a skill. Faith is something you have to work on to learn to trust it, to build up that muscle, to know that you can trust yourself and trust your direction. And know that it's, that you're not on the wrong path, So yeah, faith is a tough one. I know it's one I still struggle with in my own right. I have to pump myself up a lot, and that's what I use that morning time for. Remind myself of
the gratitude state.
Yeah,
is the easiest way through.
Yeah.
I got down to such a minuscule way to look at reality and teach myself faith and teach myself gratitude, to where I was pulling up to red lights and I was thanking the universe for the red light, realigning me with whatever it's realigning with me down the road, and I just started looking at, reality in such a small, minuscule way of how this affected this and this brought me to this, and just really got to the point of just understanding, it might seem like it's bad, but it's really good.
Sure.
And that's a hard skill to really practice. And it's a repetition thing, and it's a belief thing. And, you have to put yourself into uncomfortable situations. And I think the number one thing a business owner should do is have a coach.
Yeah.
I think that's the number one thing.
That's a point. You said that earlier, and I put a note in there to come back to that. We've had 4 episodes of this podcast so far. You're number 4.
Mm-hmm.
The topic of a coach has come up in every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Literally every single one. From Chad, Chad number 1, he has business. He has a business coach, personal, like a life coach. He has a fitness trainer. Sarah and I talked about it. I had Josh Smith from Your Speaking Voice on last week. Everybody goes around to coach, and I think at least, and I know for me, there used to be such a negative connotation to a coach. It was like that you needed
help.
That you needed help, right? Exactly, and
we all need help.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is just because you're a business leader or a business owner or someone in a management position doesn't mean you have all the answers, right?
Those millionaires and billionaires, they have coaches.
They all have coaches, you know.
And it's
quarterback.
It's the abundance mindset.
Yeah.
It's I have the money.
Yeah.
And I'm going to invest this money. It's not I'm going to spend this money. It's I'm going to invest this into me.
Yeah.
And I know it's coming back because I live in the abundance mindset.
Right.
And it's really key to choose a coach that is going to hit on the inner workings.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important for that. If all you want is to lose weight, then find a weight loss coach.
Yeah.
But you're also going to have to, part of that weight is from what's going on inside of you too.
Sure.
What's going on inside of your ego, your insecurities. Some of that is there too. It's your environment that's around you. Like it's in and out of the business. So there's so much that goes into it. So like for me personally, I work on like a 4-quadrant system where it's interpersonal. It's the exterior personal. It's the environment. It's like the community environment.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's, gets into like what you describe for your computer, like what you want for your community. It's just like really picking and choosing.
Sure.
And saying no to everything that is not it.
Yeah.
Like the Dr. Joe way of the intentions, set an intention, and it's literally, I have to say no to everything that's not it. Like if I want a healthy body and a healthy mind, well, what does that look like? And I have to say no to everything that's not it.
Right.
And that's the hard part.
Yeah.
Is saying no to what's not it.
Yeah.
If you want a certain thing in business, right? If you want a certain type of an installer, it's saying no to every type of installer that is not the type of installer that you want.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the hard part.
Yeah.
Because things can show up and the universe will test you like,
sure,
how bad do you want this?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, this isn't it.
Yeah.
Like you already told yourself it's not it.
It's like the bite of the forbidden apple,
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're like yes to this thing that isn't it, and then you come back and you have to go through it again.
Sure.
I had this analogy that I thought about on my one experience that I had, breath work. It was like a medicinal breath work experience, and I had this analogy pop up about Sonic, right? Like life is just like Sonic. Like you slow down, you pick up speed, then you take off, and then you hit something, and your rings go everywhere, and you're just grabbing things. You're living in survival, right? And then you just learned what you hit.
Yeah.
Well, now it's time to jump over that. And if you didn't learn, well, you're going to hit it again, and you're going to be back in the same place.
Yeah.
And then it's like reoccurring. That's literally all life is.
Right.
It's like you continuously run into the same battles until you conquer those battles, and then you move on. And then next time it comes, you don't even realize it because you already know what to do.
Yeah.
And it's like it doesn't even phase you.
Man, it's a good one. Sonic.
Yeah, Sonic was
I'm like,
that was a really good experience.
Yeah. I'm just like playing through that first level in my head. You go around the loop and then you bam, pick up all your rings before they disappear.
And that's literally what business is.
Yeah.
That's what life is. It's what business is.
Sure.
And another really big factor on business is who do you want to show up for your kids?
Yeah.
Right? Like what kind of man does my daughter need?
Yeah. Yeah, that's that's my driving force, man. That's my driving force. Kids.
Yeah, they can teach you so much. I've taught myself a lot, and I've learned a lot from a lot of great people. My child tells me exactly what I need.
Yeah.
Because my child's doing it. What my child's doing that I don't like, I do.
Yeah.
So it's like very easy to like, all right, well, can't really yell at her because I do this.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, I got to correct it first.
Yeah.
And then I
She's
come
just
back.
modeling.
Yeah, they model everything you do.
Yeah.
And it's like you watch, I do a lot of, I've watched a lot of animal documentaries, and lions, like they just show the lion cubs what to do, and then they go do it. Like, that's all we're here to do, is just show them, not to tell them, but show them.
Sure.
And then you let them find their way.
Yeah.
And that's what school doesn't really do, is let people find their way. They're like, one size fits all.
Yeah.
Everybody learn this one subject,
Sure.
these subjects, even though somebody might be excellent at this and not excellent at that. It's like, well, we're going to make them do all of this, even though they're not, we know they're not what they want.
Yeah.
Right. It's all about interest level. And, like I just found a school last year called Threefolds. It's like a newer school. Have you heard of it? Phenomenal school. You should definitely look into it.
Yeah, my wife and I have talked about it.
It's a very hands-off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very...
Did you meet with them?
No, we didn't. It's all self-directed, though. We're
peer-to-peer learning.
Yeah, peer-to-peer learning. The kids, there's not a lot of schedule. Yeah, I think it's a really smart way to raise to bring your children through the school age years, and it's an accredited place. So, yeah, that's something that my wife and I have talked about looking into for our daughters. Because right now they're thriving. They're doing really well in the school setting that they're in. But I mean, I try my damnedest, Dad. My 9 to 5 is DreamWorks, and it's this podcast. But my 5 to 9 is trying to be the best role model I can be for my kids. But I know that time is gonna start slowly shrinking here soon. The older that they get. So yeah, that's my driving force with everything I do, man, is to model the best behavior. And that's, even down to something like this, this podcast. I want my kids to know that, when you do things that are selfless and that you're out there trying to better your community, or you're trying to raise awareness for the great small businesses that are in our area, or the great people that run those small businesses, you're transferring your positive energy to them into this idea that will only grow the more you do it and the more you pour yourself into it. That's the whole purpose. It's one of the purposes behind this. Obviously, I want to help people. I don't want to get the name out, but it's just about helping and about modeling, basically, to my children and to anyone else's children, that I was an absolute screw up in high school. I mean, self-admitted screw up. I didn't even graduate. I didn't even graduate high school. I went back and got my GED a couple years later.
I almost didn't graduate.
Yeah.
There's no way I got the 96 on my history final. She definitely just passed me.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And
thank you. I don't remember her name, but thank you, Teach.
Dude, I had teachers that tried to help me, and I just couldn't get my head out of my own ass.
I think this is my theory, right? Schooling is a programming, right? And the kids that can't sit still, the ones that don't want to intake the information, your body knows before you know. You're antsy in the seat because your body doesn't like the programming that it's taking. It's not its natural state. So the kids that really struggle in the school and can't sit still and don't do good with intaking information that they really don't care about, like it's literally just their body saying like, no, this just isn't for me.
Do you feel like a disproportionate amount of us that struggled in school also went on to start businesses?
Yeah, I had a buddy who just...
I feel like there's a correlation there.
Remember, do you know Jordan Krause? This farmer guy?
Sounds familiar.
He was in my grade. Yeah, I just talked to him. I was just talking to him last week, and he said the same thing. He's like, they told us we weren't going to do anything. Yeah. And we just took all the shop classes.
Yeah, it's all the dysfunctional ones, man. That I think that we're just a lot of free thinkers, or wanted to be mold breakers, or we knew that what we were experiencing wasn't working for us. There
was a line drawn of like, you had to go to college or you were not intelligent.
Yeah.
Right. And I also feel like college was also just an extension of programming that people went through. And
yeah, sure. It's 13th grade, 14th grade kind of thing.
Yeah. And I've obtained so much knowledge that isn't taught in school. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Energy is the number one thing that should be taught, and understanding it. Because when you really break us down, we're pure nothing. And when you understand everything is nothing,
right,
and you create it with your mind, like anything can become something.
Yeah.
And I've coached people with master's degrees in psychology, and like they have those problems.
Right.
And it's like, well, you're literally you went to school for this, and like you're having issues with solving these problems.
Yeah.
But somebody who barely got out of school and just went into the books, just found random books. Like I didn't read my first book until I was like 27.
Same.
Like 27 years old.
Same.
And like ever since then, there's just specific books.
Yeah.
That I've read that are like just life changing.
Yeah.
And just the Becoming Supernatural book and Power Now are like the two foundational books that I use.
Nice.
They are very very dense on information.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's the practice behind them. Once you obtain the belief and the understanding in them, you're just like, this is easy.
Yeah.
Life is really not that hard.
Right.
It's only hard because we haven't been educated the right way.
Yeah. We make it hard on ourselves. Well, Tyler, we went deep here today. We went deep, man. This was a good podcast.
Yeah, it was good, dude.
I looked down, it's 56 minutes already. I was like, this is the longest one yet. We got lost in it.
I could talk for hours about business consciousness, anything, dude, like that. So,
well, Tyler, man, I think you're a great businessman. I think you're a great human altogether.
Appreciate that. You too.
You do a lot of things. I have a lot of discussions with you that really inspire me, man. And I think you're a master of the now. And I think we can all learn a lot because there's so much anxiety that goes into business. And one of the big things I'm taking away from here today is, this shit matters, but it doesn't matter as well. Every time that I've been so deep in a hole and I've looked at, oh my God, this is the end of the world, I make it through. All right. There's always a beacon. So I think my big takeaway message here is, find that beacon of hope and find that why, find that end point, and always keep it in your vision, because as long as you're focusing on that, you can withstand these little hiccups. You can withstand the needing that paycheck to keep the business running to the next day, or knowing that you're going to get over ruptured Achilles tendon or a broken ankle, or all these plethora of things. You're gonna get tested in this thing called business, but start off with your life. Start off with making right with your mind and understanding yourself, and then the effects will be profound in your business. So that's that's what I've taken from you here today, man. So tell us again who you are. How can people find you? What's your small business that we can all get out there and support?
My Bath Guy. That's my bath remodeling company. And then if you are an entrepreneur, I also do coaching. My company is actually called The Beacon. You kind of just talked about The Beacon there.
The Beacon.
Yeah, The Beacon Business Builder, nice. the real BBB. We do adventure trips. I'm actually planning a 3-day kayak experience coming up here. Nice. It'll be 2 days down the breaches, a day down the Susquehanna. That will be a really fun experience awesome. If you're interested in that.
Cool.
But yeah, you can reach me through the My Bath Guy number.
Look for My Bath Guy. Now that I've told you about it, you're going to start seeing his signs everywhere. There's
best marketer out there.
Yeah, there's something. There's that thing. If you buy a red car, all of a sudden you start seeing all the red cars. Now that I've told you about the My Bath Guy, you're going to see his signs in the most ridiculous places. I love it. So, all right. So that'll do it for us here today. Tyler, thanks again, brother. It's great having you on.
Appreciate it, man.
No problem.